Hello and welcome back to the Google Ad Grant, the ultimate guide, where we are walking through step by step to get your nonprofit the $10,000 a month Google advertising grant. In this video, we are going to be discovering how to create excellent text ads in Google Ads. So when your ads show at the top of Google, it looks like something people want to click on. So let's get started. In this video, we are going to go into the ad group Churches, Katy, Texas, and we're going to create two ads. So I've clicked on Churches in Katy, Texas, and I've clicked on Ads and Extensions. And now you can see we are under Ads and we have no ads down here. And you will see the kind of blue plus icon that we are using pretty frequently. And we're just going to click that to add an ad. Now, for the purposes of this video, we're just going to do a normal text ad. So you can see once we clicked the blue plus icon, we are now in the ad that we will fill out, and we'll kind of go through here and explain exactly what it is that we'll be doing. So you can see here, ad group. This is the ad group that we're in. We are in Churches Near Me campaign, and we are in Churches, Katy, Texas. So if you ever forget, what ads that you're trying to write, you can see your navigation right here and what ad group you're in. I'll also say this too, as you begin building out your ads, and I have already done this, I would just encourage you to do this, go into your keywords for the ad group. So in my case, I went into Churches for Katy, Texas, reread through your keywords and really get an idea of who you're talking to. And I know in this case, these keywords and search terms are going to be directly related to Churches, Katy, Texas, Churches Near Me in Katy, Katy churches, that sort of thing. And so I want to make sure that my ads use those keywords as accurately as possible, because when we do that, when the searches that people are putting into Google match our ads very specifically, we are going to be much more likely to appear in the #1 ranking right there at the top of the page. You're also going to see in progress, pending, and pending. Now, these are 3 ads. I would encourage you to write all 3. And as you'll see in the next section, we'll be looking at how to actually test these ads and kind of make them compete with one another to see which one is the best. And then we'll actually be rewriting ads in 30 days to beat our best performing ad. And so we definitely want to have at least 2 at the minimum in ads in each ad group. But we're also, I would really encourage you just to go ahead and write that 3rd ad. So for now, we're going to start and we're going to put final URL. You can see this space here. In this space, the final URL is going to be where your target audience is going to land. Now, in the future, we're going to discuss something called landing pages. You may have heard the term before. For now, it's not important, but this final URL will ultimately be changed to a landing page that's made just for your ads. For now, we're just going to put it to the contact page or the About Us page of your website. We'll change this later. You'll see that I have put in our web address here for new church contact page. It is happened to be all caps. I'll take that off. So we have that in. Now, when you write your headline, when you write your first headline, and I'll show you over here, this is your preview section for your ad. And you can see that the headline 1 is showing right here. This is the mobile version. This over here is your desktop version of your ad. And what you'll notice, I'm going to turn off this white area. It doesn't always highlight right. But you'll see this is going to be your ad down here. And so we've got headline 1, headline 2, and we are going to come over here and we're going to fill out the first headline. And now it's important with your headline, again, to make your keywords line up with your ad. So whatever they search is exactly what they're going to see. And Google respects this, and Google is going to put this type of exact keyword matches toward the top of Google. So we might say best church in Katy, Texas. Okay. Now, something else I want you to notice, we have a character limit here. And we want to use up for all of these areas that we'll get into. We want to use up as much of that space as possible. And the reason that I say that is if you look at your ad here, we have description 1. So as we come down here to description 1, the more that we fill this out, that one last word that pushes us up to the 30 character limit, or down here, the 90 character limit, that one word could add a whole line to our ad. And the idea is the larger our ad is, the more filled out and robust it is, the larger it's going to be there at the top of the Google search engine. And so what happens is, if the larger your ad gets, it starts to push down, especially if you're achieving that #1 search engine ranking, it's going to push down all of your competitors' ads, which, at least in theory, means more eyes are going to be drawn toward your ad, more people are going to click on it, and you're going to have more conversions on your website. So we definitely want to try to use all of the space we can. So as you can see, I'm not using all the space. And so what I'm going to try to do here, again, make it really specific. It's a Christian church. Now you'll see we've gone over now, and it's giving us a red indicator here. So we're going to back this up here. Okay, so best Christian church in Katy. And I think that's a pretty good summary. The first headline is going to be the most important thing. That's really what's going to grab the attention. The second headline, we want to communicate, an equally important message. I'm just thinking out loud here. And you'll notice as I'm writing, we're capitalizing the beginning of each word. We don't want to capitalize every single word, and we'll go over that in another video. That can come across as spammy. I'll also give you a little tip here. Don't put a period. See, you've got 29 of 30. Don't put a period here, and you can't use exclamation points. That's also part of their kind of anti-spam policy with Google Ads. But don't put a period, because what happens is you'll see over here you have a period, and then maybe there's not a period over here because you used all the space, and it just starts to look ununiform. And one thing that can help increase click-through rates on ads is just that they look neat. So if you use periods, use them everywhere. If you don't use periods, then don't use them at all. But just keep it uniform. It's not necessary to use exactly 30 of 30. 29 of 30 is definitely good. So let's see. Your new church home is here. And you know what I'm going to do? We're going to come here and we're going to put this here. The headline 3 is the least necessary. And the reason I say that is because it doesn't always show when your ad shows. And what I want to do is I want to integrate into here a call to action. And a call to action is a simple ask, and it's saying, this is what we want you to do. And so in our ads, we should just have one, and we should make it very clear, and we should ask them and tell them what we want them to do. Join our worship service. Okay, so this is what we want them to do. We want them to come to service. And if you remember, as we set up our ad groups, these are going to be locally targeted ad groups. So yes, we want to invite them to actually come. Join Sunday worship service. And I think that's pretty good. So we're the best church in Katy, Texas. We want you to join our worship service on Sunday. Your new church home is here. And now this is something, we always want to make sure our message is specifically targeted. My assumption here is that these are people who don't have a church home and they're looking for one. And so, we're kind of appealing to that. I'm sure if, we put, significantly more thought into this, we could find something that's even more purposeful. But the reason I move this down to headline 3 is because headline 3 isn't always going to show up. And this is the least important thing that we have going on in these 3 headlines. So you'll see over here, headline 1, best Christian church in Katy, join Sunday worship service. Okay, so that sounds pretty nice, but you'll see that your new church home is here. It's not showing up, and it won't show up in every ad. So over here, you'll see it's also not showing up. And the Google algorithm just decides who to show this to as the ads show to your target audience on Google. Now, as we come down here, our display path is actually this green kind of link. And this is a trust building indicator. We're going to talk more about these later as we go through this course. But this tells people what they can expect to see when they get there. newchurchtexas.com. Okay, I'm going to the church's website. But we can actually build a little more trust on this. And how we do that is we come to the display path, and the display path is actually going to add to the end of this. And we might say something like this: save my seat. And so the end of this display path now says save my seat. So I understand that when I click on this, if I'm looking at this as a member of the target audience, I'll understand, oh, they're actually going to maybe save my seat. So that's Again, giving them more information as to what they can expect. Now, what I don't like about this is it looks like I'm trying a little hard with the capitals in here. And so I might make it look something more normal. Save my seat. I think that looks a little bit better. Actually, I think I'm going to uncapitalize the S here too. That looks more like an actual link and less like an advertising situation. So we're going to come down to description 1. Description 1 is going to be your most important description, and that's the one that's going to show every time. Description 2 will not always show. Again, the Google search algorithm kind of decides who to show this to. And so I would say put your most important information in the first description, and then your, any other information that's also important in description 2. And then as we get started writing here, I also want to say it can be good to reflect your call to action in your description. So that's something that I often keep in mind. We want them to join Sunday worship service. So in this somewhere, I might want to say something like click now to save your seat or something like that. So let's kind of look here and see what we come up with. Okay, so as I'm kind of beginning to type here, I'm also thinking, and we'll say this more in the course as we go, but advertising is less about what I want to tell people about Katy Church, or it's less about what you want to tell people about your nonprofit organization or your church, whatever it is that you're setting this grant up for. This isn't about telling people about your organization. That's not what advertising is. If you're really good at advertising or you're really good at marketing, what you want to say is you want to say what the customer is wanting to hear about your organization. So I can say all of these great things about my organization, but if it's not what the customer wants to hear, they're never going to listen. And so I have to put myself in the frame of mind of someone looking for what I'm offering. And so if I have someone searching Best Church Katy, Texas, or churches in Katy, what is it that they want to see? And what I think that they are looking for, as I understand the target audience through the research that we'll be doing and we have done, I think that you have someone who is looking for a church that fits them well. And I also think that going into a new church can be a little intimidating and we can be a little skeptical because I think, a lot of people have had not so good experiences walking into a church for the first time. And maybe no one even did anything to them. Maybe they just felt uncomfortable. And so that might be one thing we want to kind of dispel in this ad as well, to set expectations. What can you expect when you come into the church? You can expect warmth, friendliness, and all of these types of things. So we want to maybe kind of work that in there as well, because again, we want to say in the ad what our target audience needs to hear so that they're comfortable clicking on it. So let's get typing. Make sure we put these capitals in. So, self for teaching and a thing. And a loving, inviting atmosphere. Click now and save. Too long. Save your seat today. Oh, still pushing just a little bit. Okay, so and again, now I really like this message. And so what I want to do is maybe compress something else so I can say, save your seat today. Because again, we're reaffirming that call to action. So we might say, get prepared. Biblical teaching and a loving, inviting atmosphere, save your seat today. And so we will leave that there. And now, as far as the description goes, we were talking about periods a moment ago, as far as the headlines are concerned, you'll see here, save your seat today. Where is it? Okay. Well, right here in atmosphere, we do have a period, save your seat today. We're going to look right now and we're just going to see if that actually has a period pop up, because right now there's not, but in the past there has. So let's just watch. Let's write a second description here and see if if a period appears there. And if not, then we'll definitely want to take that into consideration, just as the aesthetics of the ad make it look nice and, again, uniform. So I say join us Sunday for temporary worship. Now, this is with Katy Church. They have apparently a really great band, and they maybe even have like their own kind of bluesy, jazzy feel, but it's at least contemporary. So I think that's something that we definitely want to mention so that people understand that, they take that seriously. So for their contemporary worship service, and then we'll say, a sermon and fellowship. Click for directions. Okay, now that's getting a little long. But I do want to say, I still want to have that call to action in there. So we want to maybe take out, because we know it's a worship service, so it's kind of implied that it's a service. Join us Sunday for contemporary worship, a sermon and fellowship. Click for directions. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to put the period on that. Now, what you can see on at least the mobile ad here is that we have maxed out the space. And so that's what we want to see. And let's see, save your seat today. And you can see that period has now been entered. And so I don't need to actually use the space to do that. So if I wanted to add 2 characters of something else, I could do that and save it for the period. And so you can see that this ad is completely filled out. So what we will do at this point is we will save and add another. And what we're going to do 2 ads together in this video, and you can do the third one by yourself. So we're going to click save and add another, and you'll see that this ad populates right here when this loads. So now we are in our second ad. So we're in progress here. And right now we have Best Christian Church in Katy. And you can see that this is the one prior that we just wrote. Now, as we come down, you'll also see that it leaves our headline 1 in and it leaves our descriptions in. And so the reason we're doing 2 ads is because I just want you to see at least my process. Of course, you can look up how other people write their ads, and I've watched a number of people do this as well. But the best way that I have learned to write ads is to make them as different as possible. I don't want to have 3 ads that are very similar. And the reason that is before you have any data, you don't know what kind of ads will work with your target audience and which ones won't. And, as I've been talking, I have been making kind of assumptions as to what my target audience might want, but I don't know for sure because I haven't actually seen it in numbers. And so what I want to do is I want to vary my ads in their language and in the way that they're trying to communicate with my target audience. I want to vary those messages as much as possible. As we have these, 3 very different kind of angles on our ads, what we'll see after a month of these ads running, or maybe a month and a half, we'll see that one of them is performing and is getting significantly more clicks than the others. And so what we can do is we can pause the other ads and we can write more like the one that's working. But that's much more difficult to do if we have 3 ads that are very similar. That may be one that's not working, and we could have had a much more effective ad. So all of that to say, let's really mix it up if we can. We're just going to leave the length the same. So we're going to change this here. Church in Katy, Texas. We're mixing it up from Best, and we're also including Texas there. And then we might say on this one, so we're asking them to click now for service times. And I think in this one, I might even emphasize more the atmosphere that they can expect. Let's see how much space I use. Okay, 27, so that's pretty good. And you know what I might try? Click now to save your seat. I actually like that better because, again, we're keeping it in line with what we're going to do later. We're actually going to give them the ability to save their seat. which is where the ad will take them to a page where they can save their seat. Okay, so I might say now to save your seat for morning worship service at 10 o'clock a.m. The periods out just to conserve space. Fix 10 o'clock. We got 67. Click now to save your seat for morning worship service at 10 a.m. Sunday. 10 a.m. on Sunday. Let's see. Now to save your seat for morning worship service at 10 a.m. on Sunday. And you know what? I think maybe we'll do it this way. Sunday morning. All right, let's read it one more time and just see how this goes. Click now to save your seat for worship service at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. Great. So again, we're asking them to save their seat. And, you know, I kind of like this description. So I'm gonna leave this time. I would say generally you want to rewrite all of it. But I kind of like this one, and just for the sake of time, we'll just leave this one. And so you can see we've completed our second ad. The only thing I would say left here is you could add a second path if you want. I think this one's pretty simple, and you can see it here. I don't need it to be very complicated. So what we're going to do here is we're going to save and add another. And again, I would encourage you to go ahead and add this third ad. I am going to add this third ad, and I'm going to fill out our other ad group off camera so that you don't have to watch me make all of them. Thank you so much for joining us in this video where we've learned to write Google text ads. And in the next video, we are going to be going over 6 guidelines for writing A+ Google ads. And I'm going to be telling you some things you should do in your Google ads that Google will expect, and some things to avoid while we write our ads. So again, just some more tips and tricks, and I look forward to seeing you there.